Welcome to the Celebrating Women podcast, co-hosted by Mandee Montana and Ashley Fisher, a podcast that celebrates women, their issues, their thoughts, their lives, conversations that celebrate their gifts, their talents, their courage. It's the Celebrating Women podcast. Presented by Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Hey, it's Mandee Montana. At Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, you can give your skin the essential hydration it craves by moisturizing the Hand & Stone way. Chelsea Everett, the lead esthetician at the Tyler, Texas location, says keeping the skin moisturized stimulates skin barrier functions, which is crucial to the health of the skin. Chelsea, I know you've got 3 key tips on how to best take care of your skin daily. Do you want to give me those now?
3 key things are keeping your skin moisturized, staying hydrated, and of course wearing sunscreen. Moisturizing and especially hydration go together so well. You have to have that moisture barrier to hold that hydration in. Otherwise you can drink gallons and gallons of water and it's just gonna evaporate right out of the skin. Also keeping the skin plump and slowing down the aging process a bit. But also, wearing sunscreen. UV exposure is responsible for 80% of early facial aging signs. So it's crucial not only for preventative aging, but for preventative skin cancer.
Chelsea, thank you so much for stopping by today. I just love your tips and I'm going to incorporate those into my daily routine. I so appreciate you stopping by today. And for all of our friends that are listening, remember you can stop by Hand & Stone Tyler in the Cumberland Shopping Center to make your appointment or online at handandstonetyler.com.
Welcome back to the Celebrating Women podcast. I'm Ashley Fisher.
I'm Mandee Montana.
And we're celebrating today.
We're celebrating us.
We're celebrating us because Celebrating Women has officially hit its year mark.
That's right.
Is that not pretty crazy?
It feels like it's gone by really fast and really slow at the same time.
Yeah, I think so.
It's been a powerful year for both of us, I think.
It has. And I think like in some ways that we weren't expecting. And
yes,
a year and 2 months ago, I mean, podcasting was just a thing that people did. And I had this thought like, man, that Celebrating Women project would be really cool as a podcast because the conversations were the best part. Yet again, never put myself in that role of like doing it.
Well, you did that before though, right? So you put yourself in the role of doing it with the portraits because that's where you felt comfortable, right? That makes sense to me because that's your gifting.
Yeah.
You didn't know this was a gifting that you had.
Yeah, and isn't that fun? Like, I hope that, if anything, it's encouraging for anyone listening that no matter what your vocation is or what your deal is, that life has a lot of surprises waiting for you. Mm-hmm. And if you'll keep an open mind and an open heart and really, like, I don't know, just be open to it, some really cool surprises can come. And it's been like, I don't know, kind of cathartic to just be able to come up here and chat and to hash out things that are going on in life, but then hear from people who have these incredible stories.
Yeah, we have heard from some pretty remarkable people over the last year. And it's interesting how over the course of the year, it's sort of shifted from people that we were really close to to some people who found our podcast either through a friend or online and reached out and said, I really appreciate what you're doing and I have a story to tell.
And I love that. I love the bravery behind that because that takes a lot to put yourself out there and say, I think I have a story and I would really love to tell it. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell y'all, there is nothing like arrogant about that.
No.
Like for those that are sitting back going, oh, I would just feel so like some kind of way about doing that. Don't just, make the leap and reach out, whether it be, if you want to be on the podcast or something else in life, like that's just to me, that's knowing that you have something and you want to share it. And I think that that's really cool.
I think our episode with Randy really exemplified that well because she was a little bit concerned about that, but she felt so compelled and convicted that she had a message that she wanted to share to encourage women that she let that be the driving force behind it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why you and I wanted to do this, right? Like that was kind of the point was we know there are great conversations and stories out there that other people need to hear. And we were having them, but in a silo of either just the two of us or us with another woman. And we thought, man, people need to hear this.
Yeah. And I think anytime we experience like pain in life or joy or success, I think that there's just power in telling the story, you know?
For sure.
I think that that's what I continue to come back to, is how blessed I feel to be able to provide a platform for people to kind of help make their pain have purpose and make their success have more purpose, and just them, you know, not that you need to be on a podcast to have purpose, but I think it does something. There's power in it, in sharing your story and being vulnerable.
For sure.
So what were some of your like favorite moments from this last year?
Oh gosh.
No pressure, because there's so many.
There's so many good ones. I think the opportunity to reconnect with a few people that I hadn't seen in a while was really powerful, and to give them the opportunity for me to share with them like how much they made an impact on me just in our friendship or in our acquaintance or in passing, and how I've been able to watch them grow from afar and just be able to say like, hey, I see you. And then have a moment where they felt seen and were able to share their hearts. And like, I'm thinking of reconnecting with Jamie Applegate Hunter, the author, and then also my friend Cinnamon Duran, the two girls that we did online that I don't get to see very often in person.
Yeah.
That was special. So many, everyone was special, but those are the two that immediately came to mind just because probably I haven't seen them in person in a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you?
Of course, it meant a lot to me to be able to invite Shelby Skiles on, you know,
For sure.
To share her story of her daughter, Sophie, and that loss and her bravery and just how she's been navigating life. And especially, and I'm not going to cry, but especially for her to sit here and tell that story while holding her newborn daughter.
Yes. That was really, really, really special.
That was a very special moment because Shelby was actually part of the original project too. She was one of the ones that I highlighted. She was the speaker that night at the event that was held many moons ago now. And so to bring her back as like one of the first guests. Was she the first guest?
I think she might have been our third guest.
Third guest. Yes, you're right.
Yes.
But that meant a lot, you know.
Yeah. She was our first 2-part episode. I know that because it was such a powerful conversation that we felt like we needed to continue it, but we also felt like we needed a little bit of a break.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a powerful story, and like you said, one full of bravery and courage, but also heartache. And
Yeah.
it was, I didn't know, I met Shelby that day.
Yeah.
And so to watch her come in and share her heart so eloquently, you know, loss is not an easy thing to talk about, no matter whether it happened, you know, a few weeks ago or a few years or decades. Loss is tough.
Yeah.
And Shelby just had so much strength in her ability to talk about her experience with Sophie and so much love. I mean, it was just, I don't want to make you cry, but it was a really powerful experience in person. It's also a really powerful listen if you haven't listened to that episode, but I will give you a mascara warning now. You might want to
do it if you're driving to work.
Yeah, you might want to grab some tissues.
Yep. And then I think too, just being able to share our story is so special, you know, like in the beginning, you know, getting to give context to who is Ashley and who is Mandee. And I think that is meaningful, you know, and, you know, I this is just kind of something I've been thinking about, just the nature of human beings. People will tend to write your story for you in some ways, meaning what I mean by that is because of their perceptions, be it right or wrong, they write a narrative. Let me put it that way. They don't write your story, but they write a narrative. And it's very therapeutic and healing to be able to just say, this is who I am, you know? Like
in your own words.
Yeah. That meant something.
Yeah, and it's not exactly a highlight reel, right? I mean, you know, I was thinking about this too. When I was on the air, it was kind of like a highlight reel that I shared. Not intentionally. I mean, I think I was authentic and shared my story, but I had very short little increments to talk about me. And most of the time it wasn't about me. It was about the music or about what's going on in the community. There were just very little light sprinkles of who Mandee is throughout the 20 years that I was on the air. So this has been a real departure and change too.
I bet.
To sort of bare my soul. I mean, I've done a little bit of it in writing over the years in college, I wrote columns from time to time in our newspaper, and, social media is an outlet for that occasionally, where I've gone maybe below the surface a little bit, but this has been different.
It is. And I think that as much as I love all of our guests that we've had, I think it has, again, just been really meaningful to sit down and have these conversations just between you and I about these different topics, like fear into gratitude and celebrating what's right, curating your life, and, when to reach out, practicing forgiveness. I mean, all of these things that are really, I think, helpful to just daily life, but to be able to hash it out with a trusted friend is a blessing, and I've really I always think in legacy. And so I'm like, this is there. Yep. So it's a legacy piece. Like my kids, when they get older, if they care to listen, they can, or if they're ever somewhere and they miss me, there's my voice, and so, yeah, that's just sweet.
It is sweet. And on the opposite side of that, someone that doesn't have kids, it is a way to create a contribution.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I'm not raising a little one that will go out and contribute into the world in whatever fashion that may be. I have many blessings in my life of children that are around me that I get to, have short, small moments with and maybe be a mentor to, but this is kind of it, you know?
And you think about those kids, or just anybody, Mandee, like that, when they think one day, like, man, she really, like, anytime I was around her, she was so kind, and she really took time to make me feel known. And then if they go to that little Apple podcast and they search for Mandee Montana, then they can go back and hear your heart. Like, that is legacy. And, whether we have children or not, we impart things to people and that we are around or that hear us or whatever. And that's legacy, And I feel very privileged to have any kind of platform for that.
Same. And on that note, we do have a privilege, but I feel like it's also, it's almost like a responsibility at this point too, right?
100%.
Because we've decided we're going to do this and we've made a commitment, and it's not always easy to show up. As much as we love it, there are other things happening in our lives that are compelling and distracting and important. Yeah. And family, number one, right? But so to show up, whether we record a few episodes in one day and then we've got, a few weeks worth of content, or, there for a while, it was nearly every week in the beginning. Yeah. It's a commitment.
It is.
It takes dedication and work. And I remember when we first started, I was looking at, like podcasts that are successful or tips for podcasters when you're first starting. And one of the biggest things that was like a big red flashing light from everyone that's successful with it, they said, be consistent. Most people don't complete 10 episodes.
Isn't that wild? And we are sitting at 52 or 53 right now.
Yeah, I think this will be, I think it's 53 or 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty wild. A couple of them, we did have a couple repeats.
Life did happen. Life did definitely happen, and it was mostly my fault.
You've had a lot going on this year. We both have, but you've had an extraordinary year. Yeah. Learning about your journey with lipedema and watching you excel, in that podcasting space as well has been a real gift to me as well. I've learned a lot from you, and that's not something I expected to happen, because I walked into this thinking I'm going to have more technical know-how, whatever, just from the background in radio.
Audio and
that is not true. That is not true. Ashley and Sean have had remarkable success, and they've learned a lot fast because of that. And so
we've had to. Anybody that thinks that, podcasting is just sitting down and talking, I got news for you. It's a lot. It is a lot of work. But again, it's just been such a gift. It really has. And what's so crazy is that both of these podcasts came about at just almost exactly the same time. Yeah. Which was strange. And I found myself going, But it's just, both have been so, I don't know. I think really in some ways just exactly what, hopefully, the things that we say on this podcast, people find helpful. But I have to say that being able to do this has helped me.
Oh, same.
It really has. Because it's been It's been a couple of years. It's been a doozy.
Yeah. I've learned a lot about myself in these conversations with you, whether they've been on mic or off mic.
Yeah.
But like, even just the fact that we have intentional conversations with each other on a regular basis, it's not therapy, but it is certainly
Close to
appreciated.
And it's for free.
Yes. And
Yep.
so I guess anybody that's listening to this, like, if you take a nugget away from today, go back and listen to things that, you know, you might find value in, but also like schedule intentional friend time.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yeah.
I just had lunch with a friend this last week that I hadn't seen in years. She had moved to Houston, and so we'd stay in touch, occasional text messages, happy birthdays, you know, mostly surface stuff. And we're mostly acquaintances, but she moved back to town and she'd had some pretty dramatic life changes. And so I was like, hey, let's go to lunch. It just, I want to reconnect with you. And I know you're back in town, and I don't know what that friendship landscape looks like for
Yeah.
you now, right?
See, we need more Mandees in the world.
Well, thank you. But also, like, I didn't know how much she needed it. It was just something that I felt like I listened to that tug.
Yep.
Ashley, she like bared her soul to me at lunch.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm not going to share her story now. That's not the intention of this. But just showing up for your friends is important. Like, whatever that looks like for you and them, just reaching out to people and just letting them know that you see them and you care
it's
is
everything.
so powerful.
It is.
So powerful.
It is, because, you know, we all have moments where, gosh, you know, do you ever have those times when, like, you turn on Spotify or whatever mode you listen to music on, and it's like God orchestrated the
Yes.
playlist?
Oh, yes.
That was my morning this morning.
Really?
So I'm kind of weepy because of it.
Aw.
But, like, you know, it was such a scattered playlist. Like, it was, you know, Can't Stop the Feeling first from Justin Timberlake,
Aw.
and then another one. But then it got into Lauren Daigle, Rescue. And, like, the first line is, "You are not hidden. There's never been a moment that you've been forgotten." And I was like, I can't cry right now. I got to go do a podcast. But, you know, we all have those moments or those times when, because of something we're going through, we feel hidden. We don't feel seen. Or we feel like for whatever reason we can't be honest about how we're feeling, whatever. I'm working on it, unedited for 2024. All right, here we go. But, you know, we all have those moments. And I think anytime that we can lend space to others to make sure that they feel seen is just so important. So my question is, you have given so much space here to others. Has that helped you learn how to let others give that space back to you?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know if maybe.
Do you find yourself receiving as much as you're giving? Are you more giving, you think?
This is maybe not the morning to answer that question.
Okay.
That's a great question, though. That's something for me to really think about.
Yeah.
I will say I've given myself more rest this year than I think I have ever
That's good.
given myself. It's been a fight almost to get that rest in some ways.
Yeah.
Internally and externally, I have been someone. I read something this morning. I think I've told you and mentioned it on the podcast before. There's a book or a journal that my therapist years ago told me about, the 5-minute journal. There's a free app.
Oh, cool.
So you can do it on your phone or your iPad. And I've found myself really enjoying doing it on the iPad because there are some additional things within the app, like some insights. And I was reading one this morning about stillness. And it was talking about just kind of finding those moments in your day where you like let go a little. You let yourself daydream for a moment, or you go for a walk in nature. And it had this phrase in it of avoiding the toxic hustle culture. And it really hit home with me because I have hustled hard
Yep.
since I was like 15 years old.
Yeah.
And the last couple of years, even doing this has not felt like a hustle
Yeah. No.
at all. This has felt like a gift and a commitment and a contribution
Yeah.
all at the same time. Like
Right.
I do feel like I am giving and receiving
Yeah.
equally with this. I do. But as far as like with friendships and relationships, I'll have to really think about that one. But I will say I've found myself prioritizing rest more
That's good.
than I ever have before. I didn't really understand the value of it, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. Half of my face falling off this year definitely helped me realize.
Yeah.
that I'm trying to prioritize it too. Bradley the other day was like, I said, is my face like 100% better? He's like, yeah, but when you're getting tired, I can tell. Like, and so it's almost like, you know, a little thorn in my flesh to remind me, like, you're again not invincible. You must rest. You're not a robot.
Yeah, we aren't machines, and that's, I mean, I think we learn a lot from technology and functioning, and there are certainly some, what am I trying to say, metaphors, like, you know, we plug in our phones at night to charge them, otherwise they stop working, right? Sometimes we need a hard reset.
Yep.
We do as humans too. I mean, that analogy or metaphor is true, but also we aren't machines, and we do need to give ourselves some peace.
Yeah.
You know, and look for the joy. And that same little article that I was looking at this morning was like, you know, have boundaries on your weekend where you just absolutely do not work. Weekends are meant for friends, fun, and joy. And I was like, weekends are meant for extra work. Like, that's when I get stuff done.
That's because when I get stuff done.
Yeah. Anyway, so there is a little bit of that I still fight with internally, but I will say this year has taught me a lot, and that it can wait.
Amen. It sure can, and they sure can.
Work can wait.
Yep.
Responsibilities can wait.
Yep.
For me to be in a place where I can feel rested and meet it with a clear heart and mind, and not feel drained and stretched and so thin that I react instead of respond. You know?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you know, I told you before we turned the mics on, I have more to do this week, like work-wise, than I've had since probably college. Like, I feel that kind of oppressed, like I did every week in college, of just, oh my gosh, this insurmountable amount of work. And deadlines that are firm, that can't be moved, but at the same time, like, I'm learning that health is a priority, you know?
For sure.
And so, like, last night, I just needed to be, it was one of those things where I could have been up until midnight, 1, 2, 3 in the morning, but I went to bed.
Yeah. So you can feel rested.
Sleep. Yeah. And today, like, I'll get it knocked out one way or another. It's going to happen, you know? I think the older I get, the more comfortable I am with having, I've always kind of had an expectation of myself to treat others well. And I've not always expected that in return to the level that I should have.
Yeah.
You know, I found myself, you know, this morning in the car with the kids, you talk about like that tug. I had just a tug to encourage them, like, hey, pray that you guys have an awesome day today. I want y'all to be looking for how to be a good friend to someone today. I said, also, expect that in return. You know, like, if someone is not treating you well, use your words and say, hey, I don't like that, or hey, you know, please stop. And if they continue to not treat you well, you don't have to be around them.
Right. I
want to set that out in the beginning with my kids, because I don't want them to have this idea that to be kind is to be a doormat, or to be kind is to run yourself into the ground or let others run all over you. Like, no, you know, and the older I get, the more I'm getting comfortable with having that stance, you know?
Yes, same.
It's not easy, though.
Kindness isn't weakness, and it's sometimes hard to be strong when you, as an adult, you have much more clarity with this, but I'm thinking of some people in my life that I need to have hard conversations with, and part of me worries that if I have that hard conversation with them, I'm going to hurt their feelings. And it maybe needs to happen regardless whether their feelings get hurt, because it's the right thing for me. And I still don't want to hurt their feelings.
Of course not. And and that's the thing, the way that we communicate, you can say, hey, I want to talk with you about something. Some things that I have to say are hard for me to say, and I don't want to hurt your feelings, although it might, but that's not my intention. You know?
Yeah.
And just setting that out, I think just communicating and
that's not an easy conversation to have with someone, and I really do care about her and I don't want to hurt her feelings, but I'm looking at like our conversations, and communication was one of them. Maybe I need to revisit that.
You're like, hey girl, so we did this episode. You want to listen to it?
Listen to it. It might help. No, but like that I remember that one being really special. I really, really, really enjoyed our episode about NSYNC, and I feel like we need to maybe refresh that topic. That was in October, and it's been 6 months. And
Also, did you see that they performed together?
I did.
I was like, what's happening? What's happening? Is Paradise an old song or is it a new song?
It's a new song. They just released it.
Oh, it's so good.
It is so good. I listened to it on YouTube on my TV the other day and just stared at the back of Justin Timberlake's head while it played. That was the visualization or whatever. But
it kind of bugged me. I mean, I know it was his concert in LA. Let's go ahead and, little NSYNC vibes here. I know it was his concert, but it bugged me that he's in this khaki suit and they all come out in these navy blue.
That.
I'm like, listen, dude, you special, but when you're in sync, you're in sync. You're not Justin Timberlake and in sync.
But that's the way he's positioned it.
I know,
now.
and I don't like it.
I don't either.
I don't appreciate it.
I don't appreciate it either. And I don't know. I feel like he's going through a bit of a transition. I mean,
he's probably trying to save some face right now.
I think he probably is. I really think he is. And he's made some mistakes. We're all human. And I'm not going to apologize for his mistakes. He's certainly made some mistakes. I still like his music. Mm-hmm. I want him to be better.
Yeah.
All those things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
I have a ticket to go with a friend to see him in June at Dickies Arena.
When did they come out?
I know. I've been thinking about it. I mean, it's possible.
Oh,
I mean,
my goodness.
I doubt it. I doubt they're going to follow him around on tour. They have lives.
That's where I'm like, y'all quit messing around and make a decision because you're freaking us out.
Part of me wonders if he feels like he needs to go on tour first so he can make his own money before they all go on tour. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It feels oogie again. Like I don't want to hate on him. And
I know.
I've been thinking about the strategery behind this.
The strategery.
And the way it all kind of rolled out was he was like, hey guys, come do this Trolls thing with me. But I think also to save Trolls 3 because I mean, were we going to see...
And to be able to promote it too.
Right. Was anybody going to see Trolls 3 with everything that was going on in the last few years? Maybe not.
With SAG and everything.
Yeah. So I feel like they sort of saved it by having a millennial reunion.
They got everybody's attention for sure.
That was September, October. They let things die down for a little bit. He announces his album. He announces his tour. And then all of a sudden, I wonder, did tickets not sell as well? I mean, like, I don't know. All of a sudden they're around.
Well, you also had Britney's memoir come out that did not cast the sweetest light on him.
No.
And he honestly, though, did not help himself in that, though. The little things that he would say at shows, like, I just have to apologize to absolute effing nobody. Like, really, dude?
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. That was in Vegas, that new hotel opening, which Bradley and I were there. We didn't. I was like, dang it, we should have gone over to that hotel and tried to see somebody. But yeah, he performed at this opening of a new hotel in Vegas, and he was singing, and he's like, hey, I just have to apologize to absolutely effing nobody. And it was like, okay. Like,
Whoa.
Yeah, just like, And honestly, I hope because
I'm getting like all kinds of angry patriarchy vibes over here.
And
I'm so sorry, but like my feminist side is about to just explode, Ashley.
Oh. Okay, do you want to? This can be the most random anniversary episode ever.
Okay,
but
I'll edit this somehow.
Or we can keep. People may like it. I don't know.
We'll roll with it.
So there was that, and here's the thing. I'm like, dude. Learn from your past, because the way that you rolled out your first solo album, the timing of it, how you pinned everything on her was so ugly. Why are you trying to do something ugly in timing now?
It worked the first time.
I guess so. And money talks.
I hate to say that.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Okay, so do you want to hear the thing that I have not been so creeped out in so long. I went to dinner with one of my very best friends. She's my oldest friend. We've been friends since we were 6. And we were sitting in the car and kind of chatting before she had to go. And so she likes to look into all of these conspiracy theories.
Oh dear Lord.
And she's not like a doomsday, like she doesn't necessarily believe it all, but she likes
there's some crazy ones out there.
And it was like we were sitting in the car, it was after dinner, and it was like 9:00 at night. So it was dark, and she starts telling me about this conspiracy theory. She's like, the conspiracy theory about Britney Spears, right? And I was like, no. ago. And I don't know what it was about this, but it gave me the creeps. She was like, well, there's this whole thing that says that Britney's actually gone, and the person that you see dancing, I know, it's so creepy, it's AI, but it's actually Jamie Lynn Spears dancing with an AI filter. And for whatever reason, I think her saying that Britney is gone and thinking to the videos that I will watch of her occasionally on her Instagram, it just, it creeped me out to the point where I was like looking in the back of my car to make sure an axe murderer wasn't back there. Ooh. But she said, no, there are things where like you get like the filter slips, and I'm like, and I don't believe that. However, it did get me in touch with when you see Britney right now, and if you look at Britney the last few years, she's really not there.
She's gone.
And it's creepy as hell to me.
I can't look at her stuff anymore. I think I unfollowed her or I muted her or something because I just, it is creepy.
It really is. Like, she's just like the
vacant.
person that was there years ago. She's not in there. Like, and it's kind of like almost like a walking corpse in a way. Like that. I think that's what must have creeped me out. It was like the realization of, oh, she's really not there.
Yeah. No, I that's exactly what I was thinking about when you were describing it. When you're like, Britney's gone. I was like, well, Britney's gone.
And it's so sad.
And it is so sad. And I think that's why I get so frustrated with this whole, like, with his reaction to it. You know, it just feels like it comes from a place of denial.
Like, do you not acknowledge that you probably had some part in that beginning of, like, her mental anguish, you know, like, because and here's the other thing, there's other conspiracies that Britney isn't here, and so she didn't write the book. And I told my friend, I was like, well, she didn't, she had a ghostwriter write it. Right. She's like, yeah, but the theory is that actually it was either Jamie Lynn or her mom that wrote it or something. But I was like, whatever. But anyway, thinking about just kind of where her like mental anguish began.
Yeah.
If the timeline is true that's in the book, it started with the abortion and the breakup.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, dude, can you not own that you probably had some impact there? Mm-hmm. So
it just feels like a lack of empathy, which is something that we talked about on a recent episode. And maybe some entitlement. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it.
Say it.
And people are going to get mad at me probably for saying it, but white men get away with a lot.
Yeah.
Good-looking white men who are successful and who are charming get away with a lot of things that a woman or a person of color would probably not get away with.
Yeah.
Their behavior.
Yeah.
And I am married to a white man and I love him. Mm-hmm. And I let him get away with a lot. I'm kidding, in part. But it's true. Mm-hmm. It's like our society, it's our culture, it's what we've experienced for thousands of years. Mm-hmm. And I was sort of blissfully unaware of it, or just unaware of it for a long, long time, and heard people use this phrase of patriarchy and didn't really understand what it was. And then I watched Barbie and I was like,
holy crap.
Oh.
Yeah, I rewatched that on the flight home.
Did you? Mm-hmm. Aaron watched it with me.
He did?
Yes. I've been gently asking him to watch this movie with me for a while because I really wanted him, more than anything, I wanted him to see America Ferrera's speech because I so identified with it. I felt so seen in that moment. And I think most men don't realize that we're feeling all of those things on a regular basis. And how complicated it is to be a woman, just in life in general. And I'm sure it is for a man too. I'd love to hear a man's perspective on that. Yeah. Like, I have no idea what would come spouting out of their mouth if they would be willing to communicate it, right?
Yeah, right.
And he has fallen in love with I'm Just Ken. He asks Alexa to play it all the time. We watched the Oscars.
Yeah, that was okay. That I didn't watch the Oscars. I kind of want to. I did watch that.
That performance
freaking fantastic.
Was amazing.
It was awesome.
It was amazing.
He's got such a good voice.
He does. He had a band called Dead Man's Bones.
Really? Mm-hmm. It's got like this grittiness to it that didn't come out so much in the movie soundtrack, but like live, I was like, okay, Ryan Gosling.
Have you seen La La Land?
I watched it once and Noah was a newborn, and so I was in and out and it was kind of on in the background. I want to watch it again.
I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite comfort films. There, the moments where things become tense in the relationship later in the film, sometimes I'll even just fast forward through it because I just want the like happiness, and the music is so lovely. I will just listen to the soundtrack of it, and of course he's singing in parts of it, and also the melodies of the piano in it. I mean, this is the most random anniversary episode ever.
It's fitting.
This is ADD on steroids today. But I love the music from that movie.
Yeah, I want to watch it again because especially with Emma Stone winning and Ryan Gosling being nominated and all that, it kind of like, I've been like, oh yeah, they were in a movie together. And yeah. 3?
They've been in 3 movies together.
Really?
Yes, I'm a fan.
You're a fan of that duo?
Crazy Stupid Love was the first one.
Okay.
Also a great comfort movie. I absolutely love it. He is gorgeous in that film.
Yeah.
And then a gangster film. I can't remember what it's called, but they're in like a 1940s gangster film together. It didn't do much.
Didn't
but
do well.
Yeah. And then La La Land.
And I loved Emma's acceptance speech. My dress is broken. I loved it.
Watching La La Land in the theater for the first time with my friend Brandy is the first time I sort of had an awareness of like my reaction to film and had a conversation about it and realized that, oh, I'm not alone in this.
No,
like,
yeah.
There are certain things that I can't watch at night before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of a relationship push and pull because it doesn't affect my husband the way that it affects me. And like I have so much empathy for characters in films. It's like I'm in it.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing these things with them. And so sometimes it's like
that's so heavy.
You got to be very
careful.
intense experience. Yeah.
I think that's just where you have to really guard what comes in your eyes and what because I as a rule since high school, for the most part, now you have seen me go with a good friend of mine to see the It movies because that's just our thing.
Okay.
And yeah, but as a general rule, I do not watch horror movies, especially nowadays because they are so demented and dark that I feel that. And it was one of the Final Destination movies that just flipped the switch for me. I was like, I do not need this in my life. This is not helpful. This is not doing anything good for me. Some people love it, and I think they love they
thrill?
love the thrill and the emotion, the adrenaline of it.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It does. It has an effect on you. And I think like we really are going random, but who cares? Happy anniversary, Mandee Montana. It just what you watch and what you listen to, it affects you. So, segue. We hope that when you listen to Celebrating Women podcast,
that you feel a certain way.
And it's a good way, an encouraged way. So, also, did y'all know that we have ADD or no?
Yeah. So, how should we sort of maybe make meaning out of this mess? I would say that we have encapsulated a variety of topics today, which encapsulates a variety of the topics that we've discussed over the last year and some that we might discuss in the next year. So if any moment of this has intrigued you, I invite you to go back to go back and listen, binge if you would like, and know that more ADD content is coming your way.
Thanks for the last year, you guys. We appreciate you.
Yes. And please feel free to send us feedback. We really love it.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
The Celebrating Women podcast wants to hear from you. Email us a voice message to celebratingwomenpodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear your story or the story of an incredible woman you know. Become part of the conversation on social media. Facebook.com/celebratingwomenpodcast. On Instagram, search Celebrating Women Podcast. The Celebrating Women Podcast has been presented by Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa in Tyler, Texas. Book your appointment today. Stop by the spa in Cumberland Shopping Center or online at handandstonetyler.com. The Celebrating Women Podcast is created and hosted by Mandee Montana and Ashley Fisher. Support the show for as little as $3 per month at celebratingwomenpodcast.buzzsprout.com. or visit our show notes. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the Celebrating Women podcast.